Hey guys, good evening. Guys, if you're able to see my screen, just type S in the chat box so that we can get started. Thanks for the confirmation. So guys, let's continue with the API testing concepts. Okay. So here we are. The last session, I covered this particular topic like how to download and install and restart the Postman tool. And in that particular tool, how to perform the API testing using one simple example I covered at a high level. Okay. Some practical demonstration of the Postman tool I covered in the previous session, right? That was the thing. Now, in today's session, I have a few other topics left I'm going to cover. Okay. One of the topic that I'm going to cover here is advantages of API testing. Okay. What's the topic I'm going to cover? The first topic I'm going to cover for today's session is advantages. Advantages of performing API testing. Okay. What do you think is a major advantage? Guys, what do you think is a major advantage of performing the API testing? What do you think? There are a lot of advantages of performing the API testing. Okay. Can you guys give some guesses here? Early bug detection. Okay. Early testing. Yes. Yeah. Anything else? Yeah. Keep typing in the chat box, guys. Okay. Sarita was saying like early bug detection, and even Priyanka was saying is saying early bug defect detection and all. High performance. Okay. Then why we have to perform API testing, and what is the major advantage of performing the API testing. Website defects are covered. Improve efficiency. No need to wait for the full application to develop for testing. Okay. Yes, Fatima, whatever Fatima is saying in the chat box, like, no need to wait for the full application to be developed for testing is something that is we have to get started with. Okay. If you want to understand the advantages of performing the API testing, first you need to understand that for performing the API testing, do we have to wait for the entire UI of the application or complete application to be developed? Guys, for performing the API testing, okay, do we have to wait for the UI part of the application to be done? No, right? So once the application is built, once the code for the application is developed, okay, once the code for the application is developed, developers need to developers need to okay developers need to build user interface, UI part of the application. That UI means user interface. Okay. Once the code for the application is developed, once the code that is required for developing is actually built, developers need to build the or create the UI. Okay. Have to work on the UI part. And this UI will take some time. Yes or no? This UI will take time. Now, what if the software testers have to wait until the UI part of the application is ready? The time will be wasted. Okay. The software testing team can wait. Okay. Instead of testing the application way before the, instead of testing the application. Okay. So, yeah, just give me a second. So what happens here is generally in real time, software testers, if they wait until the UI part of the application is ready, once the code is developed, software testers not are let's say software testers are not going to start testing of the application. Okay, rather imagine the situations where the software testers have to wait for the UI of the application also to be ready. Then only they will start testing. What is the problem in this case? What is the problem? Testing, okay, will be what? Delayed. Yes or no? Do you agree, guys? Testing will be delayed in this process. Yes or no? You see, once the application code has been built, the software testers are not starting the testing. Rather, let's say the software testing team is waiting for the UI part of the application to be ready, and then they are performing the testing only after the UI of the application is ready. Here in this process, what is the drawback? What is the drawback in this process where the software testing team is not immediately performing the testing once the code for the application is developed? Rather, the software testing team is waiting for the UI part of the application to be built along with the code. Then only they will start testing. What is the problem in this case? The problem in this case is what? Guys, what is the problem in this case? The problem in this case is nothing but this is the problem. What is the problem? Testing will be what? Testing will be delayed. Okay, this is the problem. So let me tell you a real-time situation, what will happen in real time and all those stuff, how the testing will be delayed. So here everyone knows the Agile SDLC model. Guys, everyone here know Agile SDLC model? Agile SDLC model. Just type in the chat box, guys. Are you aware of this Agile SDLC model? If you are aware, you can type yes. If you are not aware, you can type no. Agile SDLC model. Okay. So Agile is one of the SDLC models. Okay. Agile is one of the software development life cycle, models. Okay. Like we have waterfall model, V model. Okay. Like there many SDLC models are there, right? Waterfall model, prototyping model, spiral model, Big Bang model, RAD model, V model, iterative and incremental model. Like that, many SDLC models are there. In that, Agile is one of the SDLC models. These days, most of the projects in the market are using which SDLC model? Are using which SDLC model, guys? Agile. That you know, right? These days, most of the projects in the market are using which SDLC model? Are they using waterfall model or V model or prototyping model or spiral model or iterative incremental model? Or they are using RAD or Big Bang? Which SDLC model they are using? They are using Agile SDLC model these days. Most of the projects, are using that. In this Agile SDLC model, there are several methodologies. In this Agile SDLC model, there are several methodologies. Anyone know any of the methodologies in Agile SDLC models? One is there are different methodologies that we can follow. Yes, Scrum is one methodology. Apart from Scrum, we also have something known as Kanban. Then what else is there? Any other Agile methodologies you remember, guys? Yes, extreme programming. Extreme programming. Yes, like that. Okay, extreme programming. Like that, many Agile SDLC methodologies are there. The number one Agile methodology we have in the market is what? You see, these are not the only three ones. Okay, many Agile SDLC methodologies are there. Okay, under Agile SDLC model, there are different methodologies we can follow. In that, the famous one is the top number one is what? The top number one is Scrum. Okay, so most of the projects in the market are using this Agile SDLC methodology. Okay, under this Agile SDLC method, most of the projects in the market are using Agile SDLC model. Under this Agile SDLC model, most of the projects are using which methodology? Scrum methodology. Okay, what is Scrum? What is this Agile SDLC model? In that, what is Scrum methodology? Okay, if in a particular project where Agile SDLC model is being followed by the team to develop and test the application, and in that Agile SDLC model, Scrum methodology is being used. Okay, in that Agile SDLC model, followed by the project, Scrum methodology is being used. What will happen in the project is, this is what happens in the project. Okay, so let me explain few things. Here, there will be one person known as, product owner, guys. Okay, in Agile SDLC model, Scrum methodology following project, right? There is one person known as product owner. What is the role of the product owner, guys? What is the role of the product owner? Product owner will gather all the requirements. Okay, product owner His responsibility is the business side. Okay. Product owner's responsibility is the business side. Will gather all the requirements. Okay. And will put all these requirements into something known as, what is this, guys? What is this known as? Yes, product backlog. Okay. So this product owner will put all the requirements into a bucket kind of stuff known as product backlog. Okay. All the requirements gathered by the product owner will be put into this bucket kind of stuff known as, okay, product backlog. This each and every requirement collected by the product owner and maintained in this product backlog is generally called as something known as, what is called as, guys? Each and every requirement which is generally gathered by the product owner and put into the product backlog is generally called as what? Yeah, there are two items. There are two items. One is epic, other one is user story. Story. Okay. What are the two items the product owner will do? Product owner will gather the requirements in the form of epics and user stories and put it into the kind of bucket known as product backlog. Epic is a high level requirement. This high level requirement will be broken down into smaller parts known as user stories. Okay, user stories. Now, these requirements are gathered and all. Now, what happens here is, here, okay, here, what happens here is, the development and testing team will work in the Agile Scrum methodology in the form of iterations. First iteration, second iteration, third iteration, and go on. Okay, and so on. Now, what the product owner will do is, the product owner, after discussing with the team, okay, will allocate few of these requirements, which are nothing but user stories, to this. He will assign these requirements to this particular iteration. Okay. So here work will be done in the form of iterations. What will be the duration? What is this iteration called as? Here, this iteration is called as a sprint. Sprint 1, you can say for now. Okay. This is sprint 2. The work will be done in the form of iterations. Sprint 3, like that. Okay. Not all the requirements will be worked together. Okay. Not all the requirements will be taken together and work will not be started like that. Okay. Rather, okay, a sprint kind of stuff will be there. Remember the thing, guys, where marathons will be done? Some marathons, running competitions will be done where, there will be a group of runners. After one runner will complete a sprint, second runner will start. Okay, some item will be handed to the second runner, and then second runner will complete the sprint and then give that item to the third runner. Then third runner will complete the sprint and give the item to the fourth runner, and so on. And it will be as a teamwork, who will win will be decided later, right? So here we have something known as sprints. Okay, similarly sprint. The sprint will have a duration, guys. Generally, the sprint duration in this Agile Scrum methodology following projects will be 1 to 4 weeks. 1 to 4 weeks of duration generally will be there. In that, most of the projects will be following 2 weeks duration. 2 weeks duration. 2 weeks means how many days? 2 weeks means how many days, guys? How many working days? 2 weeks means 10 working days. Assume that this particular sprint has a duration of 10 working days, which is nothing but 2 weeks. Okay, the sprint duration is 2 weeks. Assume in that 10 working days are there. In the 10 working days means this is the first day, this is the second day, this is the third day, this is the fourth day, fifth day, sixth day, seventh day, eighth day, ninth day, and 10th day. Total 10 days are there. Assume. Okay. Now, some requirements were given. Okay, some requirements were given. Okay, these are the requirements. Let's assume this one requirement, this user stories or something were assigned to the sprint to be completed. Okay, so the product owner, after conducting a meeting with this agile team, will decide some user stories to be completed by the end of the sprint. These requirements need to be developed, tested, and everything to be completed by the end of the sprint. That is, in how many days it need to be completed? In how many days this particular work need to be completed, guys? In 10 working days, the work need to be completed. Now, the developers will pick some user stories here. Okay, the developers will pick some user stories here to start working, and they will start writing the code. The first day they have taken for writing the code. Second day they have taken for writing the code. Okay, they are writing the code for implementing these requirements. Okay, so already 4 days completed. Already 4 days completed. So by these 4 days, what the developers have done is they have completely written the code. Okay. The code has been, all these requirements are there, right? For all these requirements, the code has been written by the development team in the first 4 days. Now guys, now what if the testing team has not started the testing here. The code has been completed here, but the testing team has not started the testing here. Rather, the testing team is waiting for the UI part of the application to be ready. Here only code for these requirements were built. But this code need to be integrated with the UI part. For that, developers again will take 3 more days. Developers need to take 3 more days for integrating the here only code was done. Okay, code has been completed. The code for implementing these requirements were completed in the first 4 days. In the next 3 days, out of the 10 days, 4 days are completed. Now to get the UI ready, they have taken 3 more days. Now how much time the testers are left with to complete the testing? How much time the testers are left with to complete the testing is? In this example, 3 days. Here, testers are getting, okay, 3 days of time to perform the testing. Assume that this 3 days is not enough. Okay, this 3 days is not enough. What if I tell you a way where testing team can start performing the testing immediately after the coding is done? They don't have to wait for the UI part to be done, to be completed. What is the solution, guys, here? Once the code is ready, what is the solution where the testing team don't have to wait for the UI to be completed to start testing? What is solution? What is the solution here, guys? After the code is completed, what is the solution? So instead of waiting for the entire UI to be ready, what the testing team can do here is testing team can receive the developers who have built the code can create some APIs. Okay, without this UI will take a lot of time. So instead, the developers will build some APIs. Okay, they will build some APIs using this code and they will give these APIs to the testing team. After 4 days where the developers have written the code, they also have enabled the APIs for this code. And from the fifth day itself, from here itself, the testing team has started performing the testing, guys. Okay. The testing team is not waiting for the UI part of the application to be ready. Rather, once the code is built by the application and no UI is there, developers have given the APIs of the application and testing team has started testing the APIs. Now, how many days the testing team will get time now? Earlier only 3 days. Now, how many days the testing team is getting time now for performing the testing? If APIs are given after the 4 days where code is ready, here 6 days of time the testing team will get. Is it a good thing or not? Guys, is this a good thing or not? Early testing, right? Okay, early testing. You see, in this kind of projects where Agile Scrum methodologies are being used, the time for the testing team will be very less. Okay, the time for the testing team will be very less. Don't worry about the waterfall models and all those things. In Agile SDLC model following projects, the testing team will not have so much of time. Okay, testing team will get very less amount out of 10 working days. If the testing team is getting 2 or 3 days for testing, right? That is a very problematic situation for the software testers. So instead, you can clearly see how the APIs are playing the key role here. API testing is playing the key role here. Okay. After 4 days of writing the code, developers are immediately providing the APIs. By the time the testers are understanding the requirements and all, they are not idle here. And immediately they got the APIs. They started testing the APIs. Okay, they started testing the APIs and they are reporting the defects also using the APIs. Now, by the time UI will be ready, since the APIs are already tested, okay, will the testing team have to, you know, uh, let me come again. Once the APIs are tested, once the UI is ready, will the testing team will find more defects or less defects this time? If the APIs are not tested, and directly with the help of UI, if they are performing the testing, more defects will come. But if the APIs are already tested, on the top of that UI is getting integrated, less number of defects will come, and most of the defects will fall into the UI kind of defects. User interface color is not good. Okay. Okay. Graphical user interface is not working. Such kind of defects will get. But the actual internal working of the application, okay, will be tested by the APIs only. Okay, already business logic is tested. Yes, you are right. Already the business logic is tested with the help of API. Internal working of the proper code has been written for developing the application is already tested. Only, okay, the UI need to be tested. For that, 3 days will be enough. Already you got 3 days for testing the, functionality of the application, whether the code of the application is working, actual functionality developed by the application, developers are working fine or not. Then on the top of that, for 3 more days you are getting for UI, together they are working or not. Yes, definitely, Nigora. Yeah, you are right. Okay. We are often left with just a day or two. But in this kind of process, if the APIs are ready and if we can start performing the API testing, you see, testing team will get more time for testing. Can you see this as an advantage? Number one advantage why software testers need to perform API testing? Guys, can you see this as example as a number one reason why? Okay, testers need to perform. Number one advantage why software testers need to perform. So this is the number one. This is a there are many other things also. Those are not important ones. This is a number one reason. This is a number one reason why software testers. Okay, number one reason. Okay, how API testing is okay. How API testing is useful. Okay, the number one. Okay, this is a number one advantage of. This is a number one advantage of performing API testing. This is a number advantage of performing the API testing, guys. If you don't perform this API testing, you have to wait for the UI part of the application to be ready. That will take a lot of time, and testers will be generally left with 1 or 2 days. Here I'm saying 3 days, but generally 1 or 2 days only time will be there. That will be very less time. Rather, instead of software testers have to wait for the entire UI of the application to be ready, instead once the code is ready and developers can provide the APIs and you can start testing the APIs first, and the actual business logic of the code will be tested here without the UI. And once the UI is how the APIs can be tested, guys. If there is no UI, how you can perform API testing? If there is no UI, how can you perform testing? You have to test APIs, right? How do you test APIs without UI? How do you test APIs which don't have any UI, which don't have any UI, user interface? How do you perform testing of the APIs which don't have any UI? Tell me, guys. Yeah, how do you perform? How do you test the APIs which don't have any UI? With the help of what? Yes, we can use tools like Postman, etc. Even though the APIs will not have any user interface, but these APIs, the documentation will be provided by the developers, like how to use APIs and all. You will take that and put into the Postman tool or different places, guys. Okay, a lot of tools are there. Okay, and then you can perform the testing of the APIs. Okay, APIs will not have any user interface, but they can be tested to see whether they are working fine or not. In previous session, I already covered how to perform the API testing using Postman tool. The same way, we'll be performing the API testing. Once the API testing is completed, then if the UI is ready, then you will start testing the UI. When you are testing the UI from the user interface part of the application, when you are performing testing, automatically the APIs are automatically being tested. Okay. But here, APIs will not have UI and they can be readily available before the UI is ready. UI of the application is ready. So this is what is the number one advantage of performing the API testing, guys. Okay. Hope you guys got it. The number one advantage of performing the API testing is early testing. The number one advantage of performing the API testing is what? Early testing is possible. Early testing is possible with the help of API testing. Early testing is possible with the help of API testing. This is the number one advantage, guys. Okay. The number one advantage of performing the API testing is early testing. Though there are many other advantages, guys, but the number one advantage is earlier testing or early testing. We can test, okay, way before the UI is ready. Okay, we can test the application way before the UI is ready. With the help of APIs, by testing the APIs, we can test the application way before the UI is ready. And next thing is, if you are performing the API testing and then performing the testing with the help of UI, the time that is taken for performing the testing on the UI will be reduced or increased. The time for testing the UI will be reduced or increased. Reduced, right? Already you have tested most of the things with the help of APIs. The left out part you will be testing on the UI. Okay, most of the defects that you will get after the UI is ready is UI related defects you will get. Like the alignment is not good, spelling mistakes are there, grammatical mistakes are there, such kind of defects, and very less amount of business logic related, functionality related defects will come. Most of the functional defects will be identified in the APIs, most of them. Okay, if any left, they can be found in UI also. while performing the UI layer kind of testing. But here reduces the UI testing time. Okay. With the help of UI, whatever the amount of time you will spend for testing the application will get reduced because you already have performed the testing with the help of APIs. Okay. Fine. I already gave the Agile Scrum example, guys. Okay. Hope everyone is clear. Just type in the chat box, guys, if you are clear with this number one advantage of performing the API testing. Just type C in the chat box. This is the number one. You have to understand why you are performing API testing. Okay. You see, before you perform API testing, you need to understand why you need to perform API testing. Okay. How the API testing is making a difference. Why the companies are asking you to perform API testing. Why the companies are expecting you to have API testing skills. This is the main reason, guys. This is the main reason. Okay. This is the main reason. If you test the APIs, APIs will be ready uh, before the UI part of the application is ready. Since the APIs are ready before the UI part of the application is ready, we can start testing we can start performing the early testing of the functionality of the application. Okay, we can start testing the application in in the early manner. Okay, that's the main advantage of API testing, guys. Okay, that's the main advantage of performing API testing. Apart from this, many other advantages are there, guys. Okay, apart from that, many other advantages are there. Okay, next advantage here is sample application, but on different platforms use same APIs. Yes or no? Already told you this one, right? Okay. Let's say some application like WhatsApp is there. You can use a WhatsApp in the desktop. Okay. This WhatsApp in the desktop or in your mobile phone. Okay. They will be using the same APIs. Okay. Logic will be same. Logic of the application will be same. So if you test the logic with the web UI, do you have to, you know, if you have to test the logic at the web UI, okay, and desktop UI, you don't have to worry because the same APIs are there. If this APIs for the web UI are working fine, the same APIs will be used for desktop UI, integrated with the desktop UI when you are using the WhatsApp from the desktop application like this, okay? Or the same APIs will be used by the mobile application from your mobile phone. Internally, they are hitting the same APIs, okay? The UI is different. The UI of the platforms is different. Web platform, mobile platform, desktop platform, UI part is different. But internal APIs these applications are using will be same. So if you test the APIs, you don't have to test this application. Hello? Yeah. So this is another advantage, guys. Okay. Sample application, but on different platforms use same APIs. No need to rework. Once you test the APIs for one type of the application, which is a web platform application, the same APIs will be internally there for the mobile and desktop. So you don't have to rework here. Only you have to test the UI related things of the application. You have to you have to test it. Okay. But internal logic will be same. So that's the advantage with the help of APIs, guys. Okay. With the help of APIs, performing API testing, right? This kind of thing will be there. Then and also when you are reporting the defects, right, if you perform API testing, when you report the defects, right, you can differentiate whether that is a UI defect or API which is implemented is not working fine. Okay. Okay, so when you are, because what happens in real time, guys, what happens in real time when you are working in a project, what happens in real time, there will be only one type of developer or different type of developers. There is one type of developer or different type of developers. Different type of developers. One developer will be responsible. One developer will be responsible for, okay, creating APIs. Okay, APIs, etc. Other developer will be UI developer. Okay, other will be UI developer. Like the different type of developers will be there. Yeah, front end, back end, whatever you call. That's correct. You can call them as back end also. Okay, API developers, you can call them as back end. Okay, even okay. So like that, different type of developers will be there, guys. When you find a defect, when as a software tester, when you find a defect, if you know how to perform API testing, if you know how to perform the API testing, and if you have performed the API testing, what is the advantage you are going to get? You see, from the UI part of the application, if the defect is coming, from the API, by using the API, the defect is not coming, then to which developer you need to route the defect to? Tell me. While testing the application with the help of API, defect is not coming. But from the front end part of the application, by using the UI layer of the application, if you are testing the same functionality, you are getting a defect. You have to report the defect to the UI developer. right? UI developer, there is a problem with the UI developer because you know that the internal API is working fine. The internal API, which is connected to the UI part of the application, is working fine. That means there is some problem with the UI layer of the applications, which need to be fixed by the developer who is responsible for building the UI. But what if the defect is coming from the UI layer of the application? The defect is also coming from the API while testing the API of that particular functionality of the application. In that case, the defect should be routed to the backend development team, right? Backend development team. This we should be aware about. Okay. This we should be aware about. Okay. We can distribute the defects to the respective development team. Okay. Then another main advantage. Okay. Main advantage. Another like there's a main advantage, guys. Already early testing is a major. No one can beat this kind of advantage of the API testing. Early testing is possible with the help of API testing. So, and this is one thing that while performing the API testing, you can do this kind of things. If you are not performing the API testing, then you cannot identify whether this is a UI defect or API, the backend defect or front end defect. You cannot understand and you cannot direct it to the proper developer. Okay. When you perform the API testing, you can take the decision or call. The next thing that you need to understand here is faster testing. Another advantage is faster testing. So API testing takes less time. Why? Guys, why the API testing will take less time when compared to the UI testing? Which one is faster? API testing is faster or UI testing is faster? You see, even the UI is ready, but APIs are also there. When you are performing the testing, which one is faster? API testing is faster than UI testing. Why? Why the API testing is faster than? Why you can perform API testing faster than the UI testing? What is the reason? What is the reason? Do you think, guys? Why the API testing can be done in a faster manner when compared to the UI testing? Okay. Yeah, give me proper answer. Okay. Why API testing is faster than UI testing? When you are performing API testing, no UI need to be loaded. Yes or no? No graphical, no graphical, no graphical user interface needs to be loaded. Yes or no? When you are performing API testing, no graphical user interface to be loaded. Hence, API testing is faster. You will get the response faster, right? Because there is no UI to be loaded. UI loading is not there. You see, when you open the browser and hit the application URL, okay, the browser need to load some UI of the application page. That will take time. But in case of API, since there is no UI, there is no graphical user interface to be loaded. Without UI, you are performing the testing. Hence, API testing is faster than the API testing can be done faster than the UI testing because there is no graphical user interface that need to be loaded involved in this case of API testing. Hence, API testing is faster than the UI testing. This is another advantage. Faster testing. API takes less time. No need to load any UI. API takes minutes while UI takes hours. Okay. So here you can verify thousands of APIs, okay, in some hours, whereas in some what you can say in some minutes, okay, thousands of APIs in minutes you can say. With the same UI, if you perform testing with the help of UI, that will take a lot of time for loading. You see, the page will keep loading, right? Have you seen that? While performing the testing of the application, have you seen that when you go to a separate page, the page will keep loading and you have to wait for the page to complete loading and then you perform the testing? Have you encountered that kind of situation? The UI will take time, right? The UI need to load it on the page and we have to perform testing. Hence, API testing is faster when compared to the UI testing because in case of UI testing, UI of the application should be loaded. In case of API testing, there is no UI. Hence, API testing can be done faster. Okay. Then another important thing that you need to understand is bypassing the UI layers, validations or restrictions. I'll give an example here. Okay. There are some situations which cannot be tested from the UI part of the application. I'll tell you. Just come here to this application, guys, tutorialsninja.com/demo application. Go to the register page. Go to the register page. And if I give yes, if I give some details here, if I give some details here like this, if I give some details here, and here I'll give an invalid email. Is this an invalid email address? Yes or no? Guys, is this an invalid email address? Yes or no? Yes, this is an invalid email address. And if I click on the continue, what is happening? When I click on the continue button, what is happening? Please include an @ in the email address. Is missing @ message is coming. Is this message coming from the server? Tell me guys, is this message coming from the server? Tell me, is this message coming from the server side or client side? From the UI part of the application, this message is coming, or front end part of the application, this is coming, or back end part of the application, it's coming. From the UI part, that is front end part of the application only, this message is coming. Here, when I enter an invalid email address and click on the continue button, a request is not sent to the server, guys. Okay. Here I'll provide all the proper details, and the email address field, I provide an invalid email address, and when I click on the continue button, okay, a request has been sent to the server or not? From the client side of the application, is a request sent to the server? No, the request is not sent to the server. Instead, the client side UI is giving you this message saying, please include @. Why? Why the client side is taking care here? Why not this request has been sent to the server and this message has come? Why this message is not coming from the server? Why the client is handling this message for us? Why the UI part of the application is stopping us from sending the request to the server? Why it's taking an additional headache of giving a message? Why not a request has been sent to the server? Tell me guys, any reason? Why the client side or UI part of the application is stopping the request to be sent to the server here? Why the client side or front end part of the application is taking care of giving this particular message instead of hitting a request to the server? What do you think is the reason? Okay, I know this is a wrong one only, but still it can be sent to the server, right? This email address can be sent to the server, right? Why it's being stopped at the client side only? Why the validation has been, this message is coming from the client side rather than the server side? Why not a request has? Yes, that's correct, Sarita. Less traffic to server. Sarita has clearly given the answer that less traffic to the server. Yes or no? Yes or no? Do you agree, guys? What Sarita has said, do you agree? By following this kind of approaches, where front end is taking care of the validation, less traffic can be sent to the server, right? Unnecessary traffic, why you to send to the server? Imagine a situation, guys. Imagine a situation where, okay, let's say you are in a country. In your country, there are a lot of states. In a lot of states, lot of cities and places are there. In your locality, there is a garbage problem. Okay, okay, there is a garbage problem. Whatever the garbage that is coming out from the houses, right, that is not being disposed properly by the local governance. Okay, then do you go to the president, or do you go to the president or prime minister and report it? Guys, do you go to the president or prime minister and report that problem? No, right? You will go to the local, okay, authorities who are responsible for that garbage collection, not the prime minister or president of the country, right? Will not disturb them, right? For each and every small thing, you should not go to the president or prime minister, right? You have to go and fight with for the problem with the local authorities, not the prime minister or president. Same thing here also, guys. Okay, for each and every small problem, okay, if I am giving invalid email address for the small problem, if I am sending a request to the server and server is giving this kind of response, then what will happen? The server will become slow. The prime minister or president of the country will not be able to, okay, do their jobs well, because every small problem is coming to their notice, right? That's how not the governance can be done, right? Okay, the people who are running your country, like president or prime minister or whoever it is, cannot deal with each and every small problem that is there in the country, right? Important problems, whatever the problems they have to deal with, they will be dealing with. But every small problem that is there in your locality, some garbage problem is there, why the president or prime minister will come into the picture, right? So for every small problem, I should not disturb the president or prime minister, right? Similarly, for every small problem here, I should not disturb the server. What will happen if I disturb the server for each and every small problem in the application? That can be solved by the client side itself. From the front end only, I can solve this problem. But still, even though I have the possibility of solving this problem at the front end, but I am sending this problem to the backend, what will happen? Lot of traffic will increase to the server, right? Lot of traffic will be received by the server, and server will be unable to serve your problem because lot of requests came. Server also need to spend some time in solving the request, right? Server will become slow. Because of heavy traffic, server will go down or even crash also. Okay? The system will completely go down. That is the problem, guys. Hence, guys, what is the solution? Few things that can be resolved at the client side or front end side of the application. Okay, have to be resolved at the front end only. A request will not be sent to the server, guys. Okay, but this is very good. This is very good. That in this UI part of the application is stopping the application from sending this request to the server machine. That is very good. Client side only, the handling of the problem is happening. Now, can I check how the server will respond to this kind of situation? Now, if the UI is stopping me from sending the request to the server, now can I check how the server is responding to this problem? In this kind of situations, can I check how the server is responding to this kind of problems? Tell me, guys. In this kind of situation, can I check how the server will respond to this problem? Though it's not a correct thing to send this kind of request having this invalid email address to the server, that will generate more traffic and server will become slow. That's genuine problem. But what if I feel that I want to check what the server will do if in case this kind of invalid email address is sent to the server by a request? That is, but the UI part is stopping, right? From UI is stopping. So with the UI, I cannot send a request to the server because UI is stopping me from the sending a request to the server with this invalid email address because client side validations are there or front end validations are there which are stopping me. The only way for me to perform testing, okay, even though that's not a correct thing, but I have to check, right? As a software tester, I need to check how the server will behave in this kind of situation. That's my requirement. My requirement is not to send the full traffic to the server, but my requirement is to see in how this server will handle the situation. The server has any mechanism to handle the situation? I have to check. In that kind of situation, from UI, I cannot check. With the help of API, I can check. Okay, there are no restrictions since front end or UI part of the application will not be there in the API. API will directly hit the server to see what is happening, whether the server is also giving me a proper response or not. Okay, whether the server is also giving me a proper response also, we can check. Okay, able to understand, guys? Able to get it? Something, you see, this email validation, invalid email validation is not possible to be sent to the server from the UI layer of the application. But I can still use the API layer of the application. I can perform API testing of this application where I can send this invalid email address to the server. Still, I can reach the server to see how the server is behaving in that kind of situation. To perform such kind of testing, okay, by bypassing the UI layer validations or restrictions, okay, by bypassing the UI layer validations or restrictions, I can use API testing. This is another advantage of the API testing. I can say early testing or earlier testing is a first advantage. Bypassing the UI layer is a second advantage. Faster testing, when API testing is faster than UI testing, is a third advantage. Okay, I can decide like that. Okay, these are the major three ones, guys. Okay, many will be there, you see, and a lot of things will be there. Okay, yes, using Postman validations, we can do that. Okay, that is a server side validation. Okay, with the help of APIs, we can bypass the UI, okay, UI restrictions, and still we can send the request to the server to see how the server is handling such kind of situations. Such kind of areas which UI cannot do, we can bypass the UI and perform API testing to see how the server is or application is behaving in that kind of situations. Okay, so now tell me the top three, guys. Okay, now tell me the top three areas. Why, what are now tell me the top three advantages of performing the API testing. Okay, now tell me the top three advantages of performing the API testing. What are the top three advantages of performing the API testing? You don't have to remember so many. If someone asks you in the interviews, tell me top three advantages of performing API testing, what will be your top three? Three will be enough, guys. Okay, you can give more also, but three are more than enough. Okay, to give proper answer, three are more than enough for this advantages of. Okay, let me post this images in the. Okay, I already covered this top three, guys. You have to give me. Okay, you have to tell me. That's it. Okay, so let me post all these images so that you can remember the today's notes. Meanwhile, you can type in the chat box top three advantages of performing the API testing. What are the top three advantages of performing the API testing? Top three advantages of performing API testing are what? First one, early testing. Okay, especially in Agile Scrum methodology. Okay, early testing, especially in Agile Scrum methodology following projects, testing team will get. Okay, especially space especially no the spelling, especially in Agile Scrum methodology following projects, testing team need to work in sprints and they generally get less amount of time for testing. Okay. Instead of the testing team waiting for UI part of the application to be ready. Okay. Instead of the testing team waiting for the UI part of the application to be ready, testing team can check the APIs which can be ready before the UI is ready. Okay. Hence, early testing is possible and more time for testers. Okay. Testers in Agile Scrum methodology following projects will be possible. Okay. This is what is early testing. Okay. This is one of the major advantages. Top three. Okay. Top one. This top one. What is the top two then? What is the top two ways? What is the top two advantage of performing the early testing? API testing is faster than UI testing, right? Okay. Since there is no need to load any UI of the application, APIs are faster. Hence, API testing is faster, way faster. I cannot say faster, is way faster when compared to testing can be done in very less amount of time because of this faster nature of the APIs compared to UI testing. Okay. This is the second advantage. Okay. This is the second advantage. Now, what is the third one? Then what is the third one, guys? Using APIs, we can bypass the UI validations or constraints. Okay. API testing can bypass the UI validations or constraints. And because of this, more test coverage is possible. Yes or no? Because of this, more test coverage is possible. You can test something that cannot be tested from the UI part of the application. Yes or no? Do you agree? API testing can bypass the UI validations or constraints. Okay. Hence, more test coverage is possible because you are bypassing the UI and can test more things that from UI we cannot test something that we can test with the help of API because UI is bypassing the we are bypassing the UI and testing. Clear, everyone? Everyone clear with this? Major three advantages. Yeah, a lot of other advantages are there, guys. Okay, but these are the major advantages of top three major advantages of performing the API testing. Okay. Yeah, it's possible. I'm saying it's required or not. It is a different thing. For everything, we don't have to bypass. If you get a idea, test idea, and that you cannot succeed with help from the UI part, and if you feel that you have to check whether how the server is actually handling that situation when UI is not handling, then in that kind of situation, if you have a real requirement, you can perform testing, Venkat. Okay.
But yeah, Arun, so here one is
Yes.
part. So if we found any issues, then we reported the issues to the team. Then they will simply said like, this we have already validation from.
I didn't get that. Come again, Venkat.
So if you found it, so if you're testing through API, it's passing
Hmm.
the negative mail like invalid mail anything. So
Mm.
then backend developers will simply say like, so we already
Yes.
have validation UI.
Yes,
So
yes.
you
You
are
see that story will be always there, right? Whether it is valid or invalid, whether they want to do it or not, it's all discussion based. I'm not worried about that. What I am saying is what is possible, I am saying.
okay.
Okay, whether they will accept, whether we'll do it is up to us. Okay, you see, when
Okay.
you test from the UI part of the application, also a lot of these things will happen, right? Some things they will accept, something they will not accept, right? Same thing with
Yes.
APIs also. What I am saying here, what's my point here is, okay, what's my point here is whatever things that UI layer is stopping you from doing testing that you can do with the help of APIs is something I'm saying. Whether that will be valid or not, that all depends on the your case or project where you are working or the kind of situation. Is it really needed or not? Whether developers want to really fix it or not. Okay, all depends on that permutations and combinations. That will not go away. Okay, what I'm saying is possibilities only.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
if in
Got it.
case you want to check, if in case that is required, if in case they agree, it's possible, right? That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, in most of the cases, bypassing is not required, but you can perform check testing and see if it is really valid. You can bring it to the notice of the developers, and if they also accept, it can be done. Okay, otherwise it's not compulsory. It's not compulsory to perform bypass the UI layer and perform the API testing. I'm just saying that this is one of the advantage of the API testing only. Okay, may or may not be useful for us while performing testing, depending on the context or situation when we are performing the testing during the real time projects. Fine.
Arun sir, one more query.
Yes, please.
So, first performing the testing using the post like you API testing. So again, do we need to check all test cases using the UI? Like, is it not
Yeah,
required?
generally it happens where, no matter we perform API testing, we'll also perform UI testing also. Okay.
Yeah.
Because what
Okay.
happens when you perform UI testing indirectly, the APIs will be running, right? In the background, APIs will be running, right? In the
Yes,
background of the
but
button, when you click on this button, what will be there? Internally, API will be there. That API already have tested. So here, what happens for the software tester is your confidence will be already good, right? You already have tested the API layer of the application. Now you are simply clicking on the continue button. Okay. You already know that how the API will behave, right? So the speed at which you will perform the testing will rise because of your confidence levels. Okay. In very less amount of time, you can perform the testing using the UI layer if you already have done the API testing. Okay. Though it
but
feels like
but
it's
that will
repetition.
create rework, right?
Which one?
So again, testing from API and UI, it will create rework. So two times we need to
Automation, you
perform.
meant to say automation side, you are saying?
Manual.
Manual? Yes.
So manually, firstly, we need to perform through. So with the we need to create test data and everything. So perform
Mhm.
in the API testing. Again, we need to check from application using the UI.
Yes,
So it
yes,
will
yes.
create a
That will
rework
happen. You
two
see,
times.
why I'm saying here is it's not like via APIs only you have to perform testing. I'm not saying, okay, but the main problem you understood, right? UI will not be ready immediately.
Mhm. Okay.
That is the main problem. Otherwise, we'll start testing from the UI only, right? If
Okay.
the UI can be ready, why to
And,
do API testing? UI is taking time, right? So
mm,
why to waste the time? Okay, why to waste the time? Why to wait until the UI is ready is the main problem, right? So developers have written code. In some cases, it will take a lot of time. In case of Agile Scrum, I told you like less time. Okay, 3 days, 4 days. That is a kind of example in case of Agile Scrum methodology following projects. What if your project is V model or whatever it is? Okay, and the developers have to build the UI. It will take a lot of time. Maybe some weeks also it may take, depending on the size of the application or functionality they are building. You cannot wait for the entire UI to be ready, right? What you can do, you can get started with the APIs and you can run the APIs and start testing and reporting the defects by the time they are building the UI. Just imagine the situation of the testing team. Will they get enough time or not?
yes.
That's the main thing you have to focus. Don't worry about whether I'll repeat it or not. At the end of the day, the quality of the software should be good, Venkat. Okay. At the end
Okay.
of the day, the quality of the software should be good. Whether you will repeat your testing from the APIs, whatever the API testing you have done from the UI, also you are testing. It doesn't matter what you are doing. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, what should be done? The quality of the software should be good, right? The application functionality should be working fine. So that is your requirement. But per my observation, in few projects I worked on API testing and all, right. What did I observe here is UI will take time. So we'll get the APIs first. We'll start testing the APIs. By the time the UI is ready, we'll start testing the APIs. And if any problems are there, most of the defects will be rectified in the API only. And the remaining all issues you will find from the UI. It doesn't mean that you should skip the UI part. You have to do the UI part also. But most of the defects will be identified in the API layer itself. Okay, and remaining UI kind of issues will be coming in the UI layer, but we'll be testing everything. We'll run all the test cases. What is the problem in running all the test cases? Whether you perform API testing and again you test each and every test case of the UI part of the application. What is the problem? Double confirmation only, right? So we can do it, not a problem. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so then I'm getting some questions. Just wait. Saubhagya is asking me. Yeah, API testing is depending only on HTML, or we can also use XML, JSON. Okay, if you are pushing XML to end URL using SOAP API, that is also called. You see, we'll be discussing about these things, Saubhagya, later. Once we go to the next parts, right, you'll be understanding why XML, why JSON, why HTML, all those stuff. Okay, just wait for the turn, Saubhagya. Okay, the next one is in some projects, after UI testing, management asks API testing, what is the purpose? If UI testing working, why in this case management asks API testing, sir? Or this happened in my previous project and all. Okay, Srini. Okay. Yeah, it happens, you see why the team will ask you to perform API testing despite of having the UI is, double confirmation only, right? It's a double confirmation. Okay. If the and also if the UI is working, API is working fine, automatically the UI layer also the functionalities will work fine. Okay. So
Yes, sir.
it's okay. It's okay to perform, not a problem in that. Okay. So, but generally speaking, the advantage of the API testing is early testing. That's a major advantage. But in some projects, it may happen where when you are already started UI testing, the APIs also need to be tested. That's okay. You can test it. Okay. There's no
Yes,
harm
sir.
in
Yeah.
doing that. Okay. Because faster testing will be there. You can do the testing faster, and, early detection of bugs can be possible. Maybe using the UI, you have to spend a lot of time. You have to go through this and that pages of the application. Other advantages will be there. Okay. But using APIs, within no matter of time, you can complete testing and you can find some defects way faster than UI layer of the application. Okay. That may be one advantage. Okay.
Got it, sir. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Srini here, sir. Actually, there was more defects, like uh,
Mm,
defects was more. So,
mm.
with respect to UI testing, so management has API testing as well. So,
Okay,
uh,
maybe the requirement happened where you need to segregate which one is going to UI and which one is going to API layer, maybe, right? Back end
okay,
or front end.
that's why. Yeah, yeah,
Depending on
yeah. Got it.
situations, why they have come to that situation may depend on project to project. That's okay.
Okay,
But in real time, what happens is first API will come, then UI will come. Okay, as per my knowledge. Okay,
sure, sir.
but maybe in your project, a rare situation happened where they are encountering a lot of defects and they need to find out are the defects coming from the UI part of
Segregating.
your front end part of the application or back end of the application. They want to find out. They are not
Okay.
able to because everyone will play the game right in the projects. Okay, they will say
Yes,
that
yes.
their defect, my defect, and all. Okay, maybe your project that situation has come and they want to rectify that and they have introduced that process maybe.
Yeah,
Okay, but there is no harm in doing. Okay, even I performed API and UI parallelly. Okay, it's not like that. Okay, we can do it. We can do it because APIs will take very less time and UI will take more time, so it's okay to do it. And at the end, before deploying the application into the market, definitely UI testing should be done. Okay, we cannot bypass that. Okay, we cannot overcome that. Okay, API will be there, but UI is also required.
sure, sir. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. Okay, we know that we cannot give any timelines. We know like 1 week we can work on APA, second week we can work on UI. Doesn't matter. We know, okay? In real time, it doesn't matter. Okay. Initially, UI may not be there. Until the UI is ready, you'll be working on APIs. Once the UI is ready, you'll be working with both UI and API. Okay. It's a combination of the stuff. It's a combination of the stuff. We know we cannot segregate that after API is done, then only you have to go with a UI. It's not like that in real time. Okay. In real time, what happens is we'll mix up the stuff. Okay, whenever UI is not there, there is no way of going for UI, right? Only APIs will be there. We'll be testing APIs. Once the UI is getting ready, we'll mix up the API and UI testing together. Okay. So wherever you will find the defect faster, you will report it. Okay. And you know whom to contact when to fix up. This happens in real time, guys. Okay. When there is a particular defect in the application, it is really important that you have to go to the, you see, you got a problem, guys. Okay, just imagine the situation. Imagine the situation, you got a problem. Some headache is coming. What is the reason headache is coming? You don't know. What you will do, guys, in real time? You will go to different type of doctors until it gets detected, right? Why the headache is coming? Yes or no? You are getting some headache and you don't know why the headache is coming. You are going to different variety of doctors. Okay, you tried one doctor that didn't work out. Then you went to another doctor that didn't work out. Then another doctor that didn't work out the treatment. Finally, one doctor you went and the solution came. Instead of this approach, what if? Okay, yes. What if you identified the problem and went to a proper doctor? That is good, right? You cross-checked yourself when you are getting the headache. You just did some analysis and then went to a proper doctor. The possibility of you finding a or correct treatment for the doctor will be good, right? So similarly here also, okay, when you perform API testing and UI testing together, right, you know what the problem is. Is it from the front end part of the application or back end of the application? You already know. Now you can trigger the defect to the, you can route the defect to the proper developer, because of which what will happen? The fixing will happen very fast. Otherwise, what will happen? You will route the defect to the UI team. If the defect is the backend, you are routing that to the front end. Front end will say that this is not the defect from the UI. I'm not worried about this. Go and check with the backend team. Again, a lot of time will be wasted. As a tester, if you do both API testing and UI testing, what will happen? You can route the defect to the proper developer, and proper developer with proofs will prove that, and developer will have to fix it. Otherwise, they'll keep playing the game side. UI team will be saying that this is not my defect. API team will be saying that uh, okay, this is not my defect, like that. Okay, a lot of time will be wasted in that kind of situations. Okay, so as a software tester, when you perform both API testing and UI testing, another advantage will be there where, okay, you can find the root cause of the problem and direct the defect to the proper developer to which need to fix your problem. Okay, as if in real time we have to go to a particular doctor based on our symptoms and all, right? Similarly here also, based on the problem, we have to go to the proper developer. Yes. Now you can clearly understand, right, Srini, what is the reason why we have to do? Yeah, great. Okay, all good. So this is the need why we have to perform API testing. This is very important topic, guys. Okay, those looks very simple and straightforward, but this kind of things we need to have the idea why you are performing API testing. What is the advantage of performing API testing? You should be aware of. Everyone will directly start with API testing, and they'll use Postman tool and run all the APIs and then get the things done. That's not the right way of learning. Okay. The right way of learning is understanding why we have to perform it, what is the use, what is the advantage we have to understand. Then you perform the API testing. Then you will understand the feel, right, why API testing is required in real time. Okay. So that's good. And yeah, the next thing. So hope everyone is clear with the topic, right? Hope everyone is clear with the topic, right? Advantages of performing the API testing is clear, right? Okay, then let's move on to the next topic. This one is very easy, okay, which I already covered in previous sessions, but let me repeat it for you. What is the next one? Next one is the simple one. API is a middleman between front end and back end. Is that correct? Guys, is that correct? API is a middleman between front end and back end. Is that correct? Yes, right? Definitely. The middle layer of the application is, okay, API is like a middleman between the front end and back end. Okay. The front end will communicate with the back end with the help of API. This concept is very much important for the next topic, guys. That's why I'm covering here. Don't think that why I'm covering like this. Okay. So if you don't understand this topic, the next topic will not understand. Okay. Try to understand this topic very well. I already have explained this for you in the previous sessions, but I'll repeat it a bit because this topic is required for the next topic to be understood by you. API is the middleman between the front end and back end layer of the application. Okay. So I'll quickly draw the diagram that I have drawn. Okay. Client server diagram. Did I draw in the previous sessions? Yes or no? In one of the previous sessions, did I draw the client server diagram? The client will be there. Client will be sending the request to the REST server. Server will be giving the response back to the client machine. Already have drawn, right? I'll quickly draw the diagram because I already have drawn in the previous sessions. Assume that this is your laptop. In this laptop, you can call it as a client for now. In your laptop, I'll call this as a client for now at a high level. In your laptop, you opened a browser. In the browser, you open the application, you hit the application URL. What will happen? A request will be sent to the server. A request will be sent to the server the moment you hit the URL, do some operation on the application. Here we have the server machine at a remote place. I already covered this topic in depth in the previous sessions, but I'm just writing it drawing at a high level. Okay. Server is there. In the server, the backend part of the application, the backend coding will be done. Actual coding for building the application, not the front end part of the application. The actual coding for building the logical layer of the application will be there in the server using some Java programming language or PHP, Python, C Sharp, Ruby. The code for developing the application will be put into the server machine. Okay. When a request is being sent to the server machine, okay, when you hit the URL or some kind of operation you do, a request will be sent to the server machine and some relevant code on the server machine will be running. Okay. As a result of running of the some part of the code in the server machine according to the request, okay, a response will be sent back to the client machine. Okay. A proper response will be sent back to the server machine, mostly in the form of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, tokens, and all those stuff. Okay, cookies, etc. A response will come to the client, and client browser will go through this response and display the web page here for us. Okay, assume that this is one example. Display the web page for us. This is a request. This is a response. And in some cases where you are entering the username, password, and clicking on the login button, a request along with the username and password will be sent to the server machine. Server will run some code. This code will again send one request to the database of the application. This code when running will send a request to the database in the form of some SQL query, etc. Okay, some SQL query kind of thing will be done. SQL query will be sent. Okay, if this is RDBMS software, SQL query will be sent. A SQL query select start from users like that. Some in the one of the table of the database, the query will be running. And once you get the result of that query, a response will be sent back to the server. Now, once the server will get the response or some kind of records from the table from this database, server will process a proper response and send it back to the client machine. This generally happens in the real time. Okay, if a proper record is of the user is there with the credentials in the database, a record will be there, and once the record is there, server will generate a proper response with a proper token or authentication token, etc. That authentication token will go to the client side and you will be able to log into the client side. Okay, now if I divide this layer is called as a, what is this, guys? Presentation layer. This is called as a presentation layer. Already I covered this in the previous session. Okay, this is called as a presentation layer. Okay, for me to explain, before I explain the next topic, you need to understand this presentation layer and all. Okay, now, and this part is called as a database layer. Okay, database layer. And what is this layer? In middle layer is called as what? The middle layer is called as what? Business layer. Okay, this is a presentation layer, this is a business layer, this is a database layer. This presentation layer solely can be called as a front end of the application. Can I say this presentation layer part as a front end? Yes or no? Presentation layer can be called as a front end. Only presentation can be called as a front end. Then what is back end? Back end means, okay, just give me a second. Backend means, okay, backend means this here, this business layer and database layer together is called as backend. Yes or no? This business layer and, okay, can be called as a backend. This business layer where the server is there and all, okay. This otherwise you can divide like this for a while. This business layer and database layer together is called as a backend. And who is the middleman between the front end and backend here? Who is the middleman who is communicating between the front end and back end? This server where the application logic is there, database where the data is there, and front end where the presentation is there. Who is the middle communicator here? APIs. So APIs are the middleman. Okay, here API request is there, API response is the API request. This is API response, API response. In between the front end and back end layer of the application, APIs are there. These APIs are nothing but called as the middleman. Okay, APIs are nothing but the middleman between the front end and back end that you need to understand. Okay, without APIs, can the front end and back end communicate? Now tell me, guys, when I say API is a middleman between the front end and back end, can the front end and back end communicate with the UI layer of the application and back end, where a database and logical business logic layer of the application can communicate with each other without APIs? Is it possible? No. Okay. API is a middleman between front end and back end. Front end will communicate with the back end with the help of what? If someone asks you like this, how the, some people will ask you guys, okay, how the front end layer of the application will communicate with the back end layer of the application. If someone asks you this question, what is your answer? With the help of APIs. APIs will help, okay, front end layer communicate with the APIs will help the front end layer communicate with the back end layer of the application. This is a fundamental concept of APIs. Okay, the first major concept of APIs is this one, guys. Okay, okay, the first major concept of APIs, understanding the APIs is front end will communicate with the back end layer of the application with the help of APIs is something you should be aware about. Through APIs only, the front end will communicate with the back end part of the application. This is very, very important that you need to focus on. Okay. The front end layer of the application will communicate with the back end layer of the application via the APIs. APIs will help the front end layer communicate with the back end layer of the application. This is very, very important. Okay. Just remember that. Okay. To remember the next topic, this part is very important. Okay. We'll go deep. We'll go deep. Step by step, we'll increase the kind of, level going ahead. Okay. Fine. Next. Next thing here is the important thing that you need to understand here. What is happening here? Why this diagram is not there? Okay. The notes are missing, guys. Okay. The notes are missing here. I thought the notes were there, but the notes are missing here. So how to overcome this problem? Just give me a second, guys. Don't know whether I can find it out or not. Okay. Fine. A lot of things are gone in my machine. That's okay. Hmm. Okay, so that notes are gone. So I'll try to retrieve them in a different manner, guys. Okay, I have some videos with me. I need to go through the videos and get them. Just give me a second. Or I have to cover in a different way, guys. Okay, I have to draw it. Okay, no problem. I'll draw it for you. The notes are not there, but I'll draw it for you. Just wait for a minute. Yeah, the best way is that I'll draw it for you. Okay. This folder we are right. That's okay. Okay, ignore the notes here. Whatever the notes are there. But we'll take the heading is enough for us, okay, to get started. Heading will be enough, guys, okay? So here, guys, you can clearly see there are two terms. What are they? In this heading, there are two terms. One is what? Application architectures. Okay? When you are learning API testing, you need to understand about application architectures. Okay? Application architectures you need to understand. Okay? Application architectures. What is this application architectures? Okay? The developers used to build the applications in the olden days. In the olden days, guys, in the olden days, where the applications were very simple, they are not complex, right? In the earlier days, in the long 10 years back or 15 years back or 20 years back, whatever you say, in the olden days, the type of the application that we used to use are simple forms, pages like that, right? In the olden days, very simple applications used to be there. For that, which architecture was enough? Monolithic architecture was enough. Okay. In olden days, which architecture was used for building the applications by developers? Which architecture was used for building the applications, guys? Monolithic. Monolithic architecture was enough for building the application. Okay. In the olden days, developers used to build applications using which kind of architecture? Monolithic architecture. What does it mean? For example, if you want to build an e-commerce application, all the code for the e-commerce, okay. If in the olden days when the developers have to build the e-commerce application, very simple e-commerce application, there will be some front end. Okay, there is a front end part of the application where you can interact with the application. Okay, this front end will have some code, right? This front end will have some code. Okay, this front end will have some code. Only one code base used to be there for this entire application. How many code bases will be there, guys? For this entire application, how many code bases will be there? Single code base. Single code base. Okay. This is the application. Okay. This is the application. Let's say. For this application, how many code bases? Entire application. There are many functionalities in the application. Yes or no? There are many functionalities in the application. For all the functionalities, okay, complete code at a single place per all functionalities in the application. Functionalities in the application. Yes or no? So, what is called as monolithic architecture? If the developers are building the application, while building the code for each and every functionality of the application, developers are writing the complete code for building each and every functionality of the application, putting into a single place. That place, okay, single code base, okay, and there's like server or whatever you say, and this will have, okay, this will have the database, okay, this will be communicating. Okay, since only one code is there, how many databases will be there? This will be connected to some database, let's say. Okay, here is one database is there. Okay, back this database layer is there. Okay, database layer is there. Okay, this kind of architecture where developers are building the application and putting the code for developing all the functionalities of the application at a single place or single repo is called as a monolithic. Yes, applications referring to a single code base is called as a monolithic architecture. This is called as a This is called as a monolithic architecture, guys. Okay. In the olden days, this used to be the process. Nowadays, what about nowadays? Nowadays, what is the process? It's no more monolithic. A lot of the applications that we are using are very complex applications. Okay. Here we are using microservices architecture. Nowadays, we are using which type of architectures? Microservices architectures. Microservices architecture we are using. Architecture we are using. Okay. Nowadays we are using microservice architecture. What does it mean? You see, there will be one application. In that application, how many functionalities will be there? Okay. Instead of building the entire application code at a single place, single code base is there. Okay. For login functionality. For login functionality, separate code base, and this code base connected to the database also. Okay. Okay. Like this. You see here, in case of monolithic, one front end is there, one back end is there. How many front end and back ends are there in this case of monolithic? One front end, one back end, right? But in case of microservice architecture, multiple front ends. Okay. For example, this login functionality is there, and this is register account functionality. For register account functionality, separate backend is there. Okay. For register account functionality, separate backend is there. Separate backend is there. Okay. There is a code will be there here, and here database will be there here. Okay. Multiple code bases will be there. Sorry. Just let me draw this. Okay. You can draw this multiple times. Okay, just draw this. Control C, Control V. Okay, like this. Each and every functionality of the application is having like this. This is called as microservices architecture. Okay. Yes. So separate code base will be there. Here for this code base, separate APIs will be there. For this code base, separate API will be there. For this code base, separate APIs will be there. Here for the entire functionalities, single code base. For all the functionalities from the same code base, APIs will be there. But here for login functionality, one code base one, CB1 I will say. Otherwise, code base one. Okay. For register account functionality, CB2. Okay. For search functionality, code base, CB means code base, right? Code base 3 is there. Okay. Like this. So, what are the advantages of the microservices architecture? Now you understood the architectures, right? First of all, you understand the architecture. Now, after understanding the architecture, if the architecture is clear, what is the benefit you are going to get from the microservices over the monolithic? Why the industry has moved from the monolithic to microservices kind of architecture when the applications became complex? Why the industry or why the developers have started moving them to the microservices architecture is something you need to understand, right? Guys, why the industry has moved from the monolithic to microservices, you need to understand. Why the industry has moved from the monolithic kind of architecture to the microservices architecture, you need to understand. Why do you think? Yeah, it's like, backend is separate. Okay. We don't know technically, we don't know, like, separate databases will be there and all those stuff, but just representation wise, separate backend you can say. Okay. Okay. Okay, we can do more R&D on this. Okay, I'm just at a high level drawing this diagram. Okay, what is the reality we can see later, but just imagine this diagram for a while. Okay, login functionality will be there. Okay, so we'll just write here, put ChatGPT and search micro services architecture, versus monolithic architecture. Tightly coupled. Okay, this is called as tightly coupled. Okay, there's one more terminology that you have to remember here, guys. In case of monolithic, is tightly coupled. This is loosely coupled. Okay, microservices is loosely coupled. The meaning loosely means loosely coupled. Generally call it as loosely coupled. Okay, a single unified application where all components are tightly coupled and run as a one service is called as monolithic. An approach where an application is built as a suite of small independent services that communicate via APIs is called as microservices architecture. I'll explain more about that. All features are part of a one code base. Okay. You see, web server, database access, business logic, UI in one application, single. Each feature, user service payment is having its own separate code, separate database and deployment. Now you got your answer, right, Srini? Separate code, database and deployment. Hope you got your answer here, Srini. Yeah. Your question was the same thing, right? Will it use separate database or something? Yes, it will use. Okay. Yeah, a lot of advantages will be there. Okay. Debugging will be faster. A lot of advantages will be there, that we are going to discuss anyhow. Okay. Okay. For complex applications, we have to go for the microservices. Okay. For complex applications and uh, high scalability and flexibility, we have to go for microservices. Okay. The major one is complex applications, microservices, small teams, small projects, monolithic. Okay. Then advantages. Okay, advantages and disadvantages of monolithic and advantages of the microservices we are going to see. So for this, guys, I'll just do one thing. I'll just go to the one video is there. Okay. Okay, I'll take an image or something, screenshot I'll take. Just give me a second. I'll also upload the notes here. Okay, so how to take the images? So yeah, this is one image. Let's put this image, and because notes are missing, guys, I have to take it from the video because the notes are missing. Just give me a second. Yeah, this is another one. Another screenshot I'll take. One more screenshot I need to take at the end. Maybe I can take this single screenshot otherwise. Yeah, these two screenshots are enough. File, just store them. Monolithic versus micro services architectures. Okay, like this I'll say. Close. Okay, let's close this. Let's go here. Here, these nodes were not there, right? Application architectures is not there. I'll try to upload, file upload. Let me upload this file so that you can have the access. I'll right click, rename, application, architectures, 6 dot, latest. Okay. And I can delete this one. Okay, anyhow, we got it now. Okay, now you can clearly see, right, what is the disadvantage of the monolithic and what is the advantage of the microservices. You can see here every feature, what is monolithic? Every feature is part of the single code base. Changes in one feature may produce side effects in other features, right? That may happen, yes or no? Guys, in monolithic, this problem is there. What is the problem of having every functionality code at a single place? Let's say developers are fixing some code related to login functionality. Is there a possibility that register account related code may get affected? As side effects may come into the register account functionality, yes or no? When the developers are working or fixing the code, okay, on the login functionality, side effects may come in the register account, right? It may produce some side effects into the other functionalities in case of tightly coupled in monolithic architecture, right? Because code base is single, wherever you touch the code, remaining areas of the code may get affected. Side effects may come in the remaining areas of the code. Okay, that is a major one. Okay, since every feature is part of the single code base, changes in one feature may produce side effects in other features. We are not confident that other features are not untouched, right? Okay, takes a lot of time to do code changes. Takes a lot of time to do code changes as all the code of the different features is together. Okay, since everything is together, it is very difficult for a developer to go and modify the code because things look very complex, because entire application code will be at a single code base and you need to find out the required code base. That finding will take a lot of time, and after finding, modifying the code also will take time because you have to think in all directions while modifying the code because a lot of code is there at a single place. Takes a lot of time for the developers to do some code changes or modify the code or, do some bug fixes, etc. Along with the side effects, the time that will be taken by the developers to modify the code will also be, or do some code changes will be very high. Okay. More time will be taken. So while doing some code changes in one functionality, we may be disturbing the other features which are properly working fine because of the side effects may or may not come. We don't know. And quick deployment is not possible because before deploying, we have to make sure that, okay, after doing some code changes, we have to see whether entire code is working fine. Then only can deploy. That testing, that time taken by the testers or whatever that is, or the developer to verify that now everything is intact. Okay, a lot of time will be there, and quick deployment is not possible because of that reasons. Okay, these are the major things, guys. Okay, clear, guys? Clear? Clear with this? Major ones we are discussing. Yeah, maybe other things also may be there. When server is done, all the services will get affected. Okay. Yes. So here deployment will take time because whenever the code changes are done, before the deployment can be done with this code changes, right? Developer have to cross check that other areas have not, no side effects got introduced. That will take a lot of time to check. Okay. And have we disturbed any existing features of the, okay, of the code or something? We developers have to keep checking before deploying, and this may happen where developer may deploy, and after deploying they may find that some side effects got introduced. Okay. All these kind of issues will be there. And kind of microservices kind of microservice kind of architecture. Since we are breaking the large application into loosely coupled modules which communicate over APIs, I'll tell you that microservice architecture breaks down into a collection of smaller independent units, have separate logic, process, service, and database. Okay, process, service, and database. Communication between these independent units will happen over the APIs. Okay, I didn't cover the advantages. Fine. Just give me a second, guys. I need to go through this again. Just give me a second. I have to take the proper notes. Maybe somewhere here. Okay, these are the things. Okay, this part is missing. Yeah, I'll do one thing. I'll just post that here directly. Yeah, fine. Okay, what are the advantages we have here in the microservice? Easy maintenance. Okay, because if some code changes you do in one thing, you don't have to worry about the other unit, other code base. You don't have to worry. Okay, for login, separate code base is there. For register account, other code base is there. If you are doing some code changes for the login, you don't have to worry for the register account. So less maintenance. Here, a lot of maintenance is required because something got changed means other things need to be checked. That is a lot of maintenance. But here, easy maintenance because if some module or unit or code base has changed, other code base you don't have to worry because it is untouched. Quick deployment is possible because you will only be focusing on the single module or code base and do all the changes. That will take less time because of that quick deployment. Okay. To see if everything is working fine in the after the code changes, only one code base need to be checked, and that will take less time. Instead of checking all the code bases, we have to check only one code base. Quick deployment will be there. It will not introduce any side effects or impact other features. Okay, simple. Yes. Okay, guys, clear? Clear the difference between monolithic and microservices architecture is clear for you. Okay, which one is better now? Nowadays, for the kind of applications we are using, which type of architecture is better than monolithic or microservices architecture? Microservice architecture is better. And to make the things more clear, here login, here the connection will be done in the form of these red color things are called as APIs. There's one more thing. Okay, here front end will communicate with the back end with the help of API. Here also the front end will communicate with the back end with the help of APIs. That is login functionality. Login UI layer will communicate with the code base. That is a backend with the help of API. Here only one API is required, front end, back end. That's it. But here, since different code bases are there, not only the front end part of the application, front end part of the code base will be communicating with the code base of respective modules, but also the modules will be communicating. Different modules or okay units of code bases will be communicating with each other with the help of APIs. Here you see in this diagram, the front end to communicate with the back end, one API is there. For this code base to communicate with another code base, and this code base to communicate with another code base, again APIs are there. This is what is the process you need to understand. Yes, more APIs are required in microservices. Here only one API. Okay. Here API. Okay. API. 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 Here also APIs. And these are generally called as integration APIs, guys. Okay. Whatever the APIs I'm not writing here are called as the integration APIs. Okay. These are called as integration APIs. These are general unit APIs, whereas these are integration APIs. Okay. One code base communicating with another code base with the help of another functionality code base with the help of APIs. This kind of APIs are called as integration APIs. Okay. You can call them as integration APIs. This is another integration API. Integration API. Okay. Cool. Yes. Okay. Clear now, guys? Everyone clear with the monolithic architecture and microservices architecture, guys? Everyone clear with this monolithic and microservice and what is the disadvantage of monolithic and what is the advantage of quick deployment here? Okay. Delayed deployment here. Side effects will be there. Here, no side effects, right? More maintenance, less maintenance, difficult for the developers to do the code changes, easy for the developers to do the code changes, not scalable, suitable for complex applications, not suitable for the complex applications and suitable for simple applications. Okay, like that, many things you can talk about, guys. Okay, once you understand the concept, you can talk like anything, right? So we have done a lot of things on this monolithic and microservices architecture today. Anyhow, I'll be posting this diagram for you. Telegram group, I'll be posting this diagram for you. This is the only one, right? Yeah, fine. Great. Hope everything is clear, right? Hope everything is clear about this application architectures. Now, the next one is what? Types of API testing. The next one is types of API testing, guys. Okay, what is the next one? Types of API testing. Types of API testing. What is the first type of API testing, guys? What is the first type of API testing? Unit testing of APIs. Second one is integration testing of APIs. Third one is end-to-end API testing. Okay. Then performance testing of the APIs, security testing of the APIs, and many more will be there. These are the major ones. Okay. I'll give an example, guys. I'll give an example. Deals, payment, orders. Okay. Example I'll give. First one is what? Deals. Second one is what? Payments. Then orders. Have you seen in an e-commerce application where deals will be there? Once you go to the deals section and try to purchase that, you'll go to the payments. And once you make the payments, order will be created. Yes or no? Will it happen in the e-commerce application? Yes or no? In an e-commerce application, for example, in an e-commerce application, you'll go to the deals. From the deals, you'll come to payments. From the payments, you'll come to orders. Yes or no? They're integrated, right? These are three areas of the application. Okay, these are the three areas of the application. So here, in case of microservices architecture, what will be the process? In case of microservices architecture, this deals functionality will have the front end layer. Okay, front end is what? Front end part of the application, that is UI UX. Can I call this as a front end, guys? UI UX of the application of the deals is a front end. Can I call it? Yes, right? Yes. And for this front end, there will be a backend. For this front end, there will be backend, right? In microservice architecture, there will be backend. Backend, okay? That is logic plus database, logic plus DB, okay? Code and DB or logic plus DB, whatever you can write, okay? This is a backend layer of the application. Logic plus DB will be there. For deals, this is there. For deals, front end and backend is there. Similarly, guys, for payments also, front end and backend will be there. Okay? For payments also, front end and backend will be there. And for orders also, front end and back end will be there in microservices architecture. In real time, we'll be using microservices, right? So here, how the front end of this deals will be communicating with the back end of the deals. How this communication is happening, guys. How the front end is dealing with the back end. APIs, right? Here API will be there. Okay, API. Here also one API will be there. Here also one API will be there to communicate with the front end and back end. Testing this APIs is like unit testing is, okay? This kind of testing is called as unit testing. Testing the APIs of individual modules of the application, where front end of a particular module communicating with the back end is called as unit testing of the APIs. Okay, this is called as unit testing of the APIs. Now, when you work with deals, deals will interact with the payments, right? Deals will result in payment. Now, deals need to communicate with payments. Payment need to communicate with orders. Yes or no? Deals will have to communicate with payments. Payments need to communicate with, after doing payment, we'll go to the orders. Okay. These separate modules have to interact with each other in the real time. For this, we'll have integration APIs. Okay. Integration API. Here also another integration API will be there. Integration API will be there. Here also another integration API will be there. Here one integration API. Here another integration API. Integration API will be there. Okay. So total how many APIs are there in this thing, guys? Okay. To make this possible, how many APIs are there? Total how many APIs have come for this things to be resolved? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Total how many? 5 or 6? 5 or 6. Which how many actually? 5, right? 5 APIs are there, not 6. 5 APIs. You see, for individual modules, for front end of the module to communicate with the back end of the module, one API. Okay. Testing this API separately is called as unit testing of the APIs. We'll do unit testing of the deals API, unit testing of the payments API, unit testing of the order API. After that, we have to perform the integration. Okay. We have to merge these two APIs and see whether they are working together or not. And we have to combine all these things. If I have to go to the deals, do a payment and place an order. Okay. How many APIs I need to test? 3 unit testing APIs and 2 integration testing APIs. Total 5 APIs I need to perform testing. Right? 5 APIs I have to perform testing. Testing of this kind of individual module APIs is called as unit testing of the APIs. Testing the integration of the functionalities, integration APIs of these different modules is called as integration APIs. Okay, clear, right? So, what are the different type of API testing? Unit testing of APIs. Now understood, right? What is unit testing of APIs? Unit testing of APIs. Okay. These APIs, if you are performing testing to see whether they are working fine or not, is called as unit testing of APIs. And APIs between the different modules, are they are able to communicate with the different modules, is called as integration testing of APIs. Integration testing of APIs. And there is one more type of testing, guys, that is end-to-end testing. End-to-end testing of APIs. What is called as end-to-end testing of APIs? As part of end-to-end testing of APIs, how many testings you will test? Unit plus integration you have to test here, right? Yes or no? If you have to perform the integration end-to-end testing of the APIs, do you have to perform unit testing plus integration testing you have to perform? This will become the end-to-end testing of the APIs. Yes. Now, there is one more thing known as end-to-end testing of the APIs. As part of end-to-end testing of the APIs, to see from the deals, I'm able to make the payments, and from the payments, I'm able to place the orders and all, to check the entire thing. I have to test all the 5 APIs, 3 unit testing APIs and 2 integration testing APIs together. Okay, by doing all this testing, end-to-end testing of the end-to-end testing of the APIs will be done. Okay. So this is what is the unit testing, integration testing, end-to-end testing. Okay. Clear, everyone? Everyone clear with this different type of APIs we have? Unit testing of the APIs, integration testing of the APIs, end-to-end testing of the APIs is clear for everyone? So step by step, we have to learn the APIs, guys. Okay. Why? You see, these are the concepts which are very important. Everyone can learn APIs, but how many types of APIs are there? How to perform testing? What is called as unit testing of the APIs, integration testing of APIs, end-to-end testing of APIs. Also, we have to understand. Okay.
Sir, till now,
Give me a second.
here, sir. Yeah. Till now, we thought like it is straightforward. We'll be giving the API and we are sending the request. We are
Okay.
getting the response.
Next, what next? Next thing here is example I have given, and I have explained the top first three major types of APIs as part of API testing. There are other types of API testing known as performance API performance testing. Okay. How can you perform this unit testing, integration testing, and end-to-end testing of APIs? Using which tool we have to perform the unit testing, integration testing, and end-to-end testing of APIs? Definitely, one of the major tools that we can use here in the market is Postman tool. Can be used for testing the unit testing, integration testing, and end-to-end testing of APIs. Okay, Postman tool can be used. Clearly, anyone can answer this, right? It's very easy. Okay, Postman tool can be used for performing the unit testing, integration testing, and end-to-end testing of the APIs. Okay. Okay. Then coming to the performance testing, guys. Coming to the API performance testing, what it is all about, I'm going to cover next. Okay. I'm going to cover about the performance testing of the APIs. Okay. Performance testing of APIs. Okay. Performance testing of APIs. So why performance testing of the APIs is important, guys? Tell me. Why we have to perform the performance testing of the APIs? Why it is important? Why don't we test only the unit testing, integration testing, and end-to-end testing of the APIs? Why also we have to spend time on performing the performance testing of the APIs? Why it is required in real time? Tell me. Can anyone answer what is the reason why we have to perform the performance testing of the APIs? Why we have to perform the performance testing of the APIs? Anyone can answer this? You can type in the chat box if you want to answer. Yes. In real time, what happens? In real time, one user will be using the application or multiple users will be using the application. In real time, one user will be using the application or multiple users will be using the application. Tell me guys, in real time, a lot of people will be using. If you go with Amazon, at this point of time, if you go to Amazon.com, only one user will be using the Amazon for placing the orders or purchasing some products from Amazon e-commerce application. No, from different location, from different places, okay, different people will be placing the orders on the Amazon or using the functionalities of the Amazon. A lot of people will be searching, a lot of people will be placing the orders and all the stuff, right? So what happens if more people are using the application? What happens if more people are using the application? Only one API call will be done or multiple API calls will be done? Tell me. Assume that there is one application. Okay, assume that there is an e-commerce application and there are many users. Okay, all these users are searching for some products on the Amazon. Same product they are searching. This user is also searching the same XYZ product. This user is also searching the same XYZ product. This user is also searching the same XYZ product on the application. This user is also searching for the same XYZ product on the application. How many API calls will be made in this case? I'm saying same product on the application is being searched by all these people. I can take 100 people searching the same product. Let's say, how many API calls will be made? 4 or 1? 4 calls or 1 call? Here 4 people means 4 calls or one call. But same product of the application, right? Everyone is trying to search for the same product of the application. 1 call or 4 calls? 4 API calls or 1 API call? Okay, I'm getting different responses. Some people are saying 1 API call, some people are saying 4 API calls. The answer is 4 API calls. Even though the product is same, every user is doing an activity. Okay, these are different users, right? The functionality may be same. Whatever the functionality they are accessing on this application where they are searching for the same product is same. But since many people are there, okay, separate calls will be made. Not single call. Separate calls will be made, guys. How many calls will be made in this case? 4 people on the application are searching for the same product, still four API calls are being made. Four API calls are being made. So there are 1,000 people doing the same thing. What happens? 1,000 API calls will be sent to the API request will be sent to the server. You see, if you go to a tea stall and ask for a tea, okay, only one person went to the tea stall and asked for the tea. The tea stall person will immediately prepare the tea and give the tea back to the person. It doesn't take much time for the tea stall person to serve the tea. If five people have went there, definitely the tea stall person will take more time than the one person. Okay, when one person came to the tea stall and asked for the tea, now five people have come to the tea stall and asked for tea. Okay, different type of teas sometimes. Okay, or same tea sometimes. Okay, whatever may be, the tea stall person will take more time in serving to more people. Right? Lot of requests are coming. Right? Lot of people are requesting for the tea. Tea stall person need to put more efforts. Okay, in serving the tea to all these five people. Tomorrow 100 people will come. The tea stall person will take more time. Okay, to serve the tea. Day after tomorrow 1,000 people come. The tea stall person may close the shutter also if he is unable to serve the tea, because a lot of people are running behind him and is unable to, due to pressure and all, he may shut down the, okay, he may close the shutter also. So similar thing will happen with the server also. Assume that this is an application server and these are the number of people. The more the number of people at the same time trying to get the services of the server, what happens? Okay, lot of traffic will increase, and because of the lot of traffic, the server will not be able to respond to each and everything the given time, and it may get delayed. The server may get delayed. Server may get delayed or may go down. Okay, how to overcome this problem? But in real time, what happens if you see the Amazon application and all? A lot of people will be trying to use the same functionality of the application at the same point of time. But still, the application, Amazon application will not go down. What is happening there? You see, in case of real world, yes, multiple servers they redact the request and all. Okay, according to the by checking how much traffic is coming and all. Okay, the configurations of the server will be increased or multiple servers will be used according to the type of the situation and all. Okay, the configurations are simple things. What happens in real time? The install person, if the 1,000 people are coming, earlier only five people used to come, now 1,000 people are coming at the same time. What the install person will do? A install person will increase the branches, right? Will open multiple shops and then try to serve the tea at that area, because a lot of demand is coming. So he'll recruit more people, and a lot of tea points will be there at the same place and they'll be serving the tea for the people. Okay, that's what will happen in the tea stall. Similarly, to increase the performance for the application server to handle this each and every request, because this happens in real time, what the team will do as per the performance, they will do something at the backside that we are not worried about, because we are not into performance testing at that point of time. The configuration of the server may be increased, or the capability of the server to process the request may be increased, or more kind of things may be done, because of which the server will be able to process each and every request. Okay, but to check whether how many people at the same time are able to, okay, request the server, is called as performance testing, without getting delayed or without getting the server going down. Okay, how many requests the server is able to handle and all, that kind of testing is called as performance testing. Okay, when more number of requests at the same time of same point of time is coming and hitting the server machine, there are different types of performance testing. We are not going to go deep. Okay, I know there are load testing is there. Okay, stress testing is there. Different type of performance testing is there. Okay, let's not worry about going dig deep into the performance testing at this moment of time. I'm just explaining at a high level why we have to test the APIs for performance. Okay, why we have to perform the performance testing of the APIs. This is the reason, guys. Okay, so which tool can be used, guys, to perform the performance testing of the APIs? Which tool can be used in real time? JMeter? Yes, JMeter is the right answer. Okay. Okay. Perform, I want to do performance, okay, testing of APIs. Then which tool I can use? JMeter. JMeter is one of the tool in the market which will simulate the APIs, guys. Okay. using this JMeter, right? We can hit the server with, we can give the count, the same request 100 times we have to send to the server, like that. We can have lot of configurations. Okay. JMeter kind of tool. Okay. JMeter tool can be used for performing the, performance testing of APIs. Okay. JMeter tool can be used for performing the performance testing of the APIs, guys. Okay. This is one thing. Then we can also use Postman with the help of Newman. Okay, by adding Newman into the Postman, we can do that. That is also, but this is not recommended. They are saying K6 is another one. Locust is another performance testing tool, guys. Gatling is another performance testing tool. We can use different type of performance testing tools in the market, guys. Okay, for performing the performance testing of the APIs. So we'll just stick to JMeter for a while. Okay. Yes, we can use Postman also, but it's not recommended. Okay, somewhere I have, you know. Uh, for heavy load testing, it's not recommended. Okay. For heavy load test, even though it's user friendly and great for quick testing and automation, but it's not suitable for heavy load testing. Okay. So there is a limitation in Postman. Okay. Even though you can use Postman with Newman and perform performance testing, but it's not recommended. Maybe you can, you can go with the JMeter is the best one, guys. Okay. JMeter is the best one for now. Okay. Let's not worry too much about which tools and all, but JMeter is the best one. Okay. For now. Somewhere we have to start, right? Okay, we don't have to dig deep into all the areas. Okay, so that's okay. JMeter is a good starting point for us. Same product is purchased by multiple people at the same time. Number of purchases is equal to number of API calls made. Okay, that's what is the example I just now given, right? This is the same example. Okay. Same product searched by multiple users. Okay, at the same time. Okay, multiple users, say 4 at the same time. Okay, here 4 API calls will be made instead of one. When multiple API calls are made, how the performance of the application is there, that testing is called as performance testing. Okay, that kind of testing. When multiple API requests are made at the same time. Okay, when multiple API requests are made at the same time uh, for doing same activity on the application, how the performance of the application is getting impacted. Okay, how the impacted is called as performance testing of APIs. Performance testing of, we are checking what is the performance of the APIs. Okay, same API where you are hitting multiple times at the same time to the server to see how the server is responding to that API. Okay, whether the responses are coming to the APIs or not. Yeah, maybe. Okay, so these are the things we have to learn about the performance testing of the APIs. It is nothing but the performance testing of the APIs, guys. Okay, it's nothing but the performance testing of the APIs. Nothing but the performance testing of the APIs. Okay, great. Next, what's next? Security testing of the APIs. Next one is what? Can we test the security? Can you perform security testing of the APIs? Security testing of APIs. What do we mean by security testing of the APIs? Guys, what do you mean by the security testing of the APIs? What is security testing, guys? What is security testing? Security testing
So,
has two aspects. One is vulnerability assessment. Other one is what? Penetration testing. These are the two things. Together we call them as VAPT. VAPT. Vulnerability assessment and penetration testing is nothing but security testing, guys. Okay. General, regularly, without working about APIs, if you have to explain about yeah, everything is possible, Srini. We can perform the performance testing of the APIs also. Everything will be asked. UI of from UI layer performance can be done. From the API layer also performance can be done. Both will be required. Okay. Depending on the project and all, both will be required because here we are individually testing the performance of the APIs. There we are testing the performance of the UI. Okay. So they are both are different. Both will be required for building the quality depending on the requirements of the project. It all depends on the requirements of the project. Whether UI performance testing is required or performance testing of the APIs is required. It all depends on the requirements. Okay. Yeah. You see, security is a very big subject, guys. Okay. Security is a very big subject, but I can only give an example. Okay. Imagine a house. Imagine a house. Okay. Now, imagine a house. You have to this is a very big house and celebrity house, and the celebrity who is staying in this house want to, the celebrity who is staying in this house want us to do a kind of thorough check whether security of this house is good or not. Clear, guys? The security how the house celebrity who is staying in this house want us to check. Assume that in real time we got a requirement where there's one celebrity staying in this very big mansion or house, whatever it may be. Okay, and the celebrity is worried, like, what is the security of the house is all about. Okay, then he has recruited you. He has recruited you. Okay, he has recruited you. What you will do in that case? How do you check the security of this house? Tell me, guys. Imagine and tell me. Visualize and tell me what you can do. What you can do here? To check the security of the house, what you have to do? Any ideas here? Any ideas? You are not going to install CCTVs. You are not going to install. Your purpose is to assess the security of the house. Your requirement is to assess the securities of the house. You are not being asked to install CCTVs and all those stuff. What you are being asked to? Some third party person is being asked to come here and check whether the house is secured or not. What you will do? You'll go to the house and see already how many CC cameras are there. Are they, are they available at the proper points or not? Okay. To enter into the house, what is the mechanism? Right? What is the mechanism required to enter into the house? Are there any security guards available at the house? Yes. And even after bypassing all this stuff, what is the lock system that is available here? Okay. Lot of these things, right? There's one thing that in in the vulnerability assessment, you are only identifying for example, despite of having all this stuff, you as a security tester as identify that from the back side, if you put a big hole, you can still enter into the house by bypassing all this stuff. Assume that. Assume that there is a loophole in this house. There's a problem. Security loophole is there. Okay. What is this called as? Security loophole. Okay. Security loophole. There is a security loophole in this house where from the back side, though in the front side of the house, strict security measures are there, the security guards are there, installation cameras are there, but the this thing by thinking in the terms of the thief or someone, okay, if you assess from the back side of the house, not many security cameras are there, and this any thief can actually put a hole and enter into the house. Okay, this is one of the security loophole. How do you report this problem? How do you report the security loophole problem to the celebrity who is staying in the house? There are two ways. One way is, okay, just identifying the problem and telling that there is a possibility of the problem is one way. Okay, identifying identifying that there is a possibility, okay, of a problem, security problem is one way, right? This is one way. And this kind of way of identifying the possibility for a thief or someone to enter into the house is called as VA. That is vulnerability assessment. This is called as VA. VA is called as vulnerability assessment. Okay. Now, other ways to prove to the celebrity that this is possible is, okay, you yourself will try to dig the hole, not the thief, guys. The one who has come for the assessment only will dig the hole without without giving the hints to the celebrity and all. You yourself will go there as a thief. You will go there. You will act like a thief and dig the hole and enter into the house and go and give a shake hand with the celebrity. Getting my point? To prove the celebrity that there is security loophole, one is to identify the problem and tell the celebrity that this is the problem. That is called as vulnerability assessment. Other way is that you are going to, okay, take advantage, take advantage of the loophole to prove that there is a security problem. Okay, to take advantage of the loophole to prove that there is a security problem, and this is called as penetration testing. Getting the idea, guys? Yeah, ethical hacking kind of stuff. Okay, you are literally hacking it. Okay, you don't want to be a real hacker, but you are hacking it. Okay, just to prove the person that this is kind of very important. Okay, so like this, you can apply this vulnerability assessment and penetration testing on the APIs, and then you can perform the security testing of the APIs, guys. Okay, so how the security testing can be performed on the APIs. We can use the same tool, guys, most probably. Okay, we can use the same tool like Postman or something. We can use and identify that. Okay, we can use tools like Postman. Manually, if you perform the security testing, you can use the tools like Postman. Okay, if your requirement is to perform the security testing in a manual way, you can use a Postman tool. Or if you want to automate the process, if you want a kind of sophisticated tool which will scan your entire application and identify the security loopholes in the application, then you can use the tools like Bugsuit or OWASP and all those stuff. Okay, manual, for manual purpose, Postman is enough. Okay. Okay. Can we use Bugsuit tool for performing security testing of APIs? You see, there is something known as a burp repeater. Using this burp repeater, you can send the requests, okay, and perform the security testing. Okay. So security testing can be done in a manual way and also in an automatic way. So we can use the tools like what can be used? Tools like Postman, normal Postman tool, okay, can be used. In the request, you will send some in payloads will be there, guys. Okay, there will be some kind of payloads, without having the access to the application, you can actually get the access to the admin part of the application by injecting some payloads. That kind of concept is called a SQL injection. Okay, so security is a very big concept, guys. I don't want to go deep, but I'm just trying to cover this topic at a high level. Okay, Postman can be used. Postman and what is the other tool, guys? Okay, Bugsuit, or OWASP. Zap is a free tool, guys. Okay, open source free tool is there. Zap, okay, can be used for performing the security testing of APIs. Okay, okay. Mostly will be manual, guys. Mostly in a scanner can be used, or yeah. Okay, there is a scanner also which will be automating the stuff. Okay. Can API secure of uh, testing of APIs can be automated with the help of bug suit instead of manually testing the security of APIs. If you go with the professional version, okay, we can do that. There's something known as bug scanner. It can detect all this possible and works with the REST APIs that have different structure and all. Automated authorization testing can be done. Schedule scans can be done. Okay, there's a separate area, guys, separate specialized area. Okay, how it can be done and all. To some extent, we can do R&D here. Okay, you can clearly see manual API testing, Bubsuit. You can use that. Bubsuit Pro also we can do automated scanning. Bubsuit Pro we have to go. In Bubsuit, there is a community free version and Pro version is there, which is a paid version, licensed version. Okay, you can use automated scanning of the APIs. You see, would you like help setting up Bubsuit for automated scanning of your APIs with a Swagger file or authentication tokens? It's saying, okay. Yes, correct. Okay, so this is what I can give the information about security testing of APIs, guys. Okay, I'll go to the questions now, and we'll. So I'll just pause this here, and then we can go. I'll just go to the chat box. A lot of questions have come. Let me go through the questions in the chat box. Meanwhile, I'll post this in the Telegram group. Okay, so hope you got some information about how the security testing can be done in real time on the APIs. Okay, just knowledge purpose, guys. Okay, just knowledge purpose. Everything is important, right? Yeah. Okay. Yes, Nigora, we can use different tools, Kali Linux, Metasploit. Most of these tools, like Kali Linux, will be used by hackers actually, not security testers. But we can still use it. Okay, for a different purpose, we can use it to, when you do your ethical hacking, right? When you do ethical hacking or penetration testing, we can go for that kind of tools. Okay. Then next one. You cannot perform penetration testing on real applications for learning purpose unless you own the application or you have the written permission from the owner. That's 100% right, Nigora. Okay. So whenever you perform security testing, right, you have to make sure that you own the application or you have the necessary permissions from the client to perform the security testing. Okay. Without notifying the client or the application team that you're going to perform security testing without their permissions or something, right? You'll be in trouble. Here in this case, also same thing, right? Here also in the same thing, I give an example of the celebrity house, right? Without taking the permission from the celebrity, if you go and dig a hole and what will happen, you will be put into jail, right? Same thing will happen with the applications also. Great. Okay, fine. Getting my point, right? Don't attempt the security testing of the UI or API of the applications, okay? Without the permission from the client or, okay, if you don't have the complete control of the application under you, then you cannot do security testing at any cost. Okay, don't do security testing at any cost, guys. Don't go to Amazon or Flipkart kind of applications and do security testing. Okay, that's not correct. You have to set up your own code and take a copy of the code if possible without impacting their any people's business. You have to do it. Okay, fine. Yes, it can also be hacked, Atul. Like there is cloud security kind of concepts are also there. Okay, if we deploy on AWS Azure cloud, it also can be hacked because you have some cloud security concepts. If that security is not taken care by the cloud applications and all, then also the problems will be there. Okay, so it's a very depth area. Okay, I cannot comment more on that because you have to be too much into security area. Then you can understand that, but you can try out. Okay, fine. So everyone clear so far? Guys, everyone clear so far? Today's topics are clear for you. Advantages of API testing, API is a middleman between the front end and back end. Different application architectures like monolithic and microservices architectures, and types of API testing, the major ones at high level I covered in today's session. So that's all for today, guys. That's all for today. I don't want to go behind this. Okay. So I'll be again taking session tomorrow at 6 p.m. IST. Another session will be on API testing will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. IST. Just attend that session. Okay. We'll go with the next topics tomorrow. Any questions before we wind up for today? Hope you have learned something new today, and any questions from, okay, any questions you want to ask before we wind up, guys? Yeah, fine. Okay. Okay, guys, we'll meet tomorrow at same time at 6 p.m. IST. Okay. Bye, everyone. Take care.